Mate, before I start, that intro is going to need some changing next season with the personnel that I decided to put in there for this time around. But that's not the main talking point. We're back here on Football Worldwide to talk Serie A. Serie A Roundtable Matchday 24, episode 19-ish, I believe it is, of this particular series. I've got two friends with me. One is extremely happy. One has got to wonder what he needs to do to get the right calls. And for me, I'm just happy that my boys got the kick up the cooler that they need to move forward. Anthony, all smiles, bro. I haven't seen you smile like this since your first episode, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. It's great to be back after a long holiday, and especially this week when the city of Milan is red and black, my friend.
It is, bro. And if we didn't get a reminder, Castelleo reminded everybody as he walked out and flicked the lights. That was a nice little touch, man. You won't hear any pettiness from me. Adamo, it's good to see you again, bro. I'm seeing you on all different platforms. I'm loving it. I'm loving my personal Adam time.
Thanks, man. Hang on. Sorry. I was just on the phone with the Referees Association. Just clarifying a few things.
Have you got some Kleenex as well for your tears?
Yeah, man. I've gone through 3 boxes.
It's gonna be a fun little chat. We're gonna focus more so on the games that we can us three can cover. I personally got to watch a lot, so we're just gonna fly through. Forget Hakan, forget Pellegrini. Simone Verdi scored 2 free kicks this morning, didn't he? I haven't actually watched the highlights or anything like that. Did he score 1 or did he score 2?
I didn't see the game. I didn't see this game, so I just saw some tweets from some ex-players that have coached Verdi and said, it was good to see him score. So I didn't see the game. I'm not sure if he got 2.
Adam joined me nicely to talk Mercato Roundup, and it wasn't until the last 5 minutes of the Roundup that we were really nailing in and narrowing in on Salernitana's business. And, Verdi was the one that caught me by surprise more than anybody. So probably would have been better for them to secure the 3 points. They've still got a margin to climb. Spezia, on the other hand, get a point. This is one of those games where both sides should go into it wanting to win. Both sides are relatively weaker than the majority of the league. These are the sort of games that you want to win. So a dead point there. We'll regather with Spezia and Salernitana at another time. 2-2 full-time over there. Udinese left it extremely late in what was an absolute nail-biter against Juric's Torino. Free kick and a penalty to finish it off, both in stoppage time. Both teams will obviously do enough to survive the drop. There's no real need to talk too much about this one, although Juric would be looking at some of his Torino players saying, you were doing a little more for me in the first half of the season. Make sure you earn your stripes and make sure you earn your next contract here. That's for sure. But let's talk a little bit more about the 2 super signings for Juventus that came into this particular Mercato. Both of them got their names on the score sheet. Both of them played very, very well. Whether they'll sustain this form, it is only Hellas Verona at the end of the day, but you can only beat who's in front of you, and that was about as easy as a victory gets for Allegri playing that style of football. Anth, we'll go over to you first. No need to hide it. This Vlahovic signing, it is the season-breaking signing, man. It's the one that puts them as favorites to qualify for top 4. It's the signing that even makes people like you and I and others go, they're not even out of this race yet, man. I can't even count them out. Juve are coming strong, Anth.
Yeah, 100%. It was funny. I was actually with Adam, and my brother's a big Juve supporter on Saturday night, and we were talking about the signing of Vlahovic, and he was saying how he doesn't feel like Juve's had a big striker like that for a while now. And we were talking on our chat about the Mercato, and I was saying to a few of you guys, when you look at those 2 signings there, when you sign in the Mercato, you've got to improve your squad. And what have they done? They've bought 2 really good players. I know, Adam, we've spoke about Zaccaria for a while because Roma was interested, and I've always watched him in the Bundesliga. I like to watch a lot of Bundesliga, and he's a really good player. Vlahovic, he worries me. Like you said, Juve's back in the running now. If Napoli get a result against Inter this week, and Juve win, all of a sudden they're right up our asses. So, yep. I'm spewing for the rest of us. I'm glad Milan's played them twice already. You look at the fixtures and you say, all right, we don't have to face Vlahovic again, which is in our benefit, but some teams do. So some teams have to play him, 3 times potentially, where we only had to play against him once, and Fiorentina beat us. So I think we've got, those are little wins here and there that you think maybe go your way in the season. But for him to get off the mark, he missed another sitter. Not a sitter. It was actually a tough chance. He just put it wide. But what a signing! I said earlier in the season, if you remember, for me, he would be the perfect replacement for Ibra. But Juve got him. Juve
He'd
got
be
him.
the perfect replacement for anybody. He'd be the perfect replacement for Dzeko as well. But
exactly,
Juve have got their man, and they've got him for a long time. And I think that they'll make top 4 quite comfortably this season. But next season, they're probably going in as favourites already with a fit squad on paper. Adam, over to you, man. 2-0 for Allegri and his boys. It looks like they're only going to be able to put away those games that he struggled to get 3 points in as a manager. All those games where Juve probably should have won in the start of the season but didn't. He's going to turn those results into wins, in my opinion, man.
Yeah, and especially with those half chances they get in and around that front third. With Vlahovic there in the box, you can bet your life that he's going to put most of those away where other players in that squad might have squandered. So for me, they've got a player that's probably going to score 10 plus goals. They get 10 goals out of him before the end of the season.
They'll get 10.
That's extraordinary for someone who's coming with only 14 games to go. But yeah, I mean, he's not cup tied, is he? He can play Champions League as well. So he's definitely colpo di mercato, as they say in Italy. And you know what? I was having to think about it. You'd be hard pressed. He's probably the biggest signing in the world in this mercado. There's no one else that comes close, I think. And we spoke about on the Mercado show, Anthony, about how quiet January can sometimes be because players are just locked in till the end of the season. But this was one out of the box, and we're going to be talking about this one for a while. And I can't see anybody in future Januaries to come. These types of signings are very rare. So we could be talking about this one for a while.
Yeah. It's just that relative strength of Juve. And at the end of the day, we can all speak from a neutral point of view. They will always have that sort of pull, especially when you're taking other players from Serie A clubs. Convincing someone overseas in January to hop ship, a lot tougher than just asking somebody in Florence to say, hey, how about you just move up to Turin, to the best, the most successful team in the country. You can end up walking headfirst into a top 4 spot. And we all know Fiorentina are going to go a little stagnant without him there. And we'll get to that fixture a little bit later on. So all hands on deck for Juve until the end of the season. Expect them to win majority of Serie A games and to make life extremely difficult for everybody above them, below them, and around them in general.
And before you move on, can I just say a big thing for Vlahovic is he got the monkey off his back very early,
Yeah.
Scored a goal 13th minute, I think. So for a massive signing to get that early goal, the pressure's sort of not gone, but when you go 3, 4, 5 games as a new signing and you don't score, when you've got that price tag on you, the pressure mounts. He's already got it off his back now.
Exactly.
Quick question, don't know what he's capable of. Yeah.
Quick question for you boys to finish this off. Does this send Paulo Dybala out? We all saw Dybala pretty encouraging on the pitch with Vlahovic next to him. But then when he was subbed off, he had a little bit of a dummy spit as well. Not a dummy spit, just more you saw that he was really, really annoyed. Just another prima donna moment to add to the Dybala collection. Well, I'll go to you, Ant, first. Does Dybala see himself out? Egotistically, maybe he doesn't think he's the main man anymore?
I think it all depends on any truth to the rumour of Zaniolo to Juve. So if they do go after Zaniolo, potentially he's out. But if he shows that they got that trident and they get Chiesa back, Vlahovic and Dybala, maybe he stays if they have some success at the end of this year.
What does Adam think about that, being a Romanista, knowing that, the things with Zaniolo on the pitch are fairly good, but you can't deny that there's been that tension for a while now. Adam, has Zaniolo ever really been a player at Roma where the fans knew he was there for a really, really long time? He never struck me as that De Rossi, Totti sort of vibe. You're here for a good time, not a long time, brother.
Look, I'll have to disagree. At this point in time, I'll have to disagree. The outpouring of love that was shown to him, especially after the first knee injury, was just, astronomical when he responded to that. Same thing happened when he did his knee the second time. He's very active on his socials and, has been, quite vocal about how much he adores the Roma faithful back. We know how much of a hotbed Rome can be in that respect. It's all based on emotion. When you don't have success, that emotional tie to the club has remained really strong. Now, Tiago Pinto, in his defence, he answered the question from the journalist as any direttore sportivo should. No one's off the market. Did we ever think that Messi would move from Barcelona?
Yeah.
And that's the rationale he used when he was asked about it the second time. So, I read this morning that Roma are set to meet with his agent early next week. He's contracted till 2024. Now, again, if we're serious about this project, I'm sure that Mourinho arrived, and the first thing he would have asked is Zaniolo locked in? That's one of the first players he would have queried. He's not a stupid guy. He's had plenty of success. So I think there's probably this is probably more newspaper talk than it is coming from in-house. Whether he moves in the future, there's question marks around every player. Like I said, I use Messi as an example, but there's a lot of workings in a sanctum that we don't know about, and we probably don't know probably 90% of what's going on. So, Tiago Pinto's comment that went for about 4 seconds was jumped on by every journalist in the country, and the next day, what happened? Every newspaper in every sports daily in the country had him on the front page, right?
Yeah, that's football for you at the moment, man. It's all about clicks.
Exactly. So, if you're asking me a direct question, do you think Zaniolo will move in the summer? My honest answer to that is no, only because of I can only trust what Mourinho says, really, and he's a straight shooter. I can't remember a time when Mourinho has come out and spoken garbage. And he's here for the long haul as well. So he definitely wants Zaniolo in that squad. So,
Adam, I'll bring you back to one point. The team is Juve, right? And we've been through this so many times. With even in the past, with you remember Pjanic. Pjanic wasn't going anywhere. He ended up Juve. They've got a knack of convincing, and it's because of who they are. So if they come calling hard, there might be a change of heart from a few people if they flash the cash. Zaniolo looks at Juve, Champions League football. That's the only thing I think that might go against you guys, and it's happened in the past when you think, these guys aren't going to leave. But when Juve come calling, it's a different story. Unfortunately, it is.
Yeah, no, I agree, Anth. I agree, Anth. But look, from my point of view, things have changed at Roma. Monchi really set us back a couple of seasons, and now with this new ownership, a new director, a new coach, I think that we're on the up. It's a slow burn, as we've spoken about, but if you're serious about it, right, you need to keep your best talent. So he might say, Juve might come calling, but he's contracted. He can't opt out at this point in time. If we don't want to sell him, we won't. Now, if he comes to us and says, I want out, I want to go to Juve, different story, right? You don't want to keep a player at the end of the day that wants to leave the club. But, he needs, I'm sure he's been, I'm sure it's been put to him what we look like long term. And he's central to that project. Why wouldn't you want to be a player central to a project? Now, we can talk about this all day. And I agree, Anth. There's points in what you just said that I agree with. But maybe I'm in my head. I'm just hoping that he stays, and more so in my heart. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Look, I hope he stays.
The goal that he scored 2 on Sunday reaffirmed for me that he actually loves the club, right? Yeah. Even though it was cancelled out by VAR, but the way he celebrated that goal, knowing what happened the previous week, showed me that he has got. There is an emotional side to his ties with the club.
Yeah, I guess we can only see in time. So I'd really love to see him spend at least another couple seasons more under Mourinho at Roma, man. That would be nice. It's a shame that we don't have Armando here today to talk a lot about what was a very, very gritty but very good win for Napoli. 2-0 against Venezia, away from home in what is their 3rd, 5th, maybe 11th kit of the season. Either way, they all look pretty good, but that's a lot of money to be milking from your fans. Goal for Osimhen, goal for Petagna at the end. And like Anthony sort of said at the start of the episode, man, they are right back in the nitty-gritty of making sure that, if you go game by game, there is no telling how close you can get towards this crown at the end of the season. We're going to talk a bit about the Scudetto race when we move into the Milan derby fixture. But I don't have much to say from this game other than it was a classic smash and grab from Spalletti. I think Petagna actually set a new record for latest goal ever scored in Serie A, something like the 99th minute or something like that because of all the added time. I haven't seen the game, nor have I actually seen the extended highlights, but fair play to him, man. For all the flack that he cops, he's turned up where it counts this season for Spalletti, and for that I've got to commend him. I'll go over to the boys just because it's Napoli. Quick comments. Ant, anything on this fixture?
Just a quick one. With Napoli now, the African Cup over, they get Koulibaly back as a champion, as champion of the cup. Full squad starting to return. Right back in it with a general full squad. If they keep getting these results, crucial week this week for them to see where they're at. I'm sure we'll discuss it next week. But if they get the result this week, that's another definite challenger to this Scudetto. 100%.
I am absolutely packing shit. There is no way else for me to say it. I have to say it on the channel. Like, I'm absolutely packing it, man. It's one of those games where if we walk out of Naples without losing the game, you can't even complain at the end of the day, because a loss would be an absolute disaster. Adam, going over to you, man. Comments on Napoli.
Well, just one point that I want to bring up about Napoli, which I think is, credit to Spalletti, is that they've had 13 clean sheets.
Yeah,
13 clean sheets, which is, he should be commended. As much as I dislike the man, he must be commended for that, because that's not an easy feat in a league like Serie A, the way it's played at the moment. So. Fantastic. Look, I'll put my hand up and say that I was wrong about Napoli. I thought come January with Anguissa and Koulibaly out of that squad, they may have struggled a bit, but they proved me wrong. Getting those back next week on a high after the AFCON experience, I think they're going to be dangerous. I definitely 100%. I feel that they'll finish top 4. I don't think there's any question about that, the way they're playing and the way Spalletti set them up. But if they continue with this defensive form, which, mate, they've got Juan Jesus in defence at the moment. So
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, those players that just play on a different level for a particular coach.
Yep.
That's him. But Spalletti's always got the best out of him. Di Francesco got a little bit out of him, but he's a Spalletti boy, and he's just excelled in that formation. So, beware of Napoli, boys.
Yeah, 100%. I think we are. This is the surprise of the round, the shock of the round. Walter Pazzari gets an absolutely crazy win over Atalanta in Bergamo. I could not believe it, man. When I woke up, I had to rub my eyes and check this result because I didn't stay awake and watch it. That was the early kickoff, if I'm not mistaken, for us in Australian time. But this is, and I've actually read that they've lost Zapata for an extended amount of time. Have you seen a more obvious shift in who is likely to get top 4 than Juve leapfrogging Atalanta in the last couple of weeks due to the Mercato and whatnot? Atalanta signing Jeremy Borga, a good signing, losing Gosens, even though he wasn't playing too much. I'll go over to you first, Adam, and then I'll go over to Anth. They're pretty much on the ropes at the moment when it comes to top 4 qualification. It's going to be a big ask for Atalanta to string it together and make top 4 ads.
Man, we would not have predicted this probably 4 weeks ago. That they'll fall into this slump, but definitely not expecting this result. Obviously, watch this game because it was the early game. Cagliari I thought just bullied them for most of the game, to be honest. But then when Palomino did pull that goal, when Palomino did equalise, I thought they'd go on with it. But it was only 4 minutes later that Cagliari said, "Nah, we're going to take this," and off they went, scored another one through Pereira. And usually, later on in games, you see Atalanta press and look for another goal or look for a winner. But Cagliari had control of this, I thought. Credit to them. It makes out. You know what? I thought to myself. Well, the first thing I thought to myself was, even though we drew against Genoa, we've gained a point on Atalanta.
Yeah.
But and it also made me think that our result at Bergamo when we beat them 4-1 wasn't that great, considering Cagliari's done the same thing. So, interesting result. Where does Gasperini go from here? He needs to pick these boys up because Juve.
He needs more signings, in my opinion, Adam. Man, he's trying to get the most out of this machine from 3-4 years ago without realizing you probably need more than just a Borga. You need 3 or 4 fresh bodies in that team.
Yeah, definitely. Their depth's going to be tested as the season progresses now. But, mate, they've got Juve on their heels. So
they've got Juve this week.
Juve this week. So some big games this week. We'll get into that later.
Huge.
But, yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Well, it's a fun fact. They've moved out of the relegation zone. I'm not going to say for the first time this season, but I am going to say for the first time since we started doing the Serie A roundtable, because I can't remember looking at the ladder and not seeing them in the bottom three. They're 17th at the moment, 2 points clear of Venezia, who have dropped into the relegation zone as quick as that. So that's how quickly it can change at the bottom of the league as well. I'll go over to you next, Anth. Not the result that Gasparini and Atalanta would have wanted at all. It really leaves them in the pits at the moment, bro.
Yeah, shocker. And if I remember correctly, Cagliari were missing pretty much all their forwards in this game. So, for them to get a result away to Atalanta with a depleted forward line, big for them. That keeper on the pick there, I don't think he's been a success, to be honest. I think Golini moving was a mistake. One for him, right, because he's not playing, and one for also Atalanta, because I don't think Musso's been very, very stable. I know the goal against Milan that he conceded was debatable, the red card, and he's made a few other errors this year. So I think they've made some mistakes there. But as you said, they need to reinforce. I can't see him keeping Juve at bay now. Juve's strengthened with the signings, and Atalanta I feel have weakened.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, man. I know he had he had a better season coming in before this time around, but I'd have to agree, man. He's looking a little bit shaky. I'm sure he'll improve and pick up some form, but it might be a little bit too late by the end of the season, because it's not just them that they're fighting against now. They're fighting against a Vlahovic-injected Juve who look like they're just going to keep grabbing points on points on points. Adam, it is over to you, and I'm just going to admit right now, I know a lot of people don't agree, but from what I've seen this season, I'm actually willing to agree with you, man. I feel like you have been absolutely shoved in the cooler with a few decisions this season, man. The step from Tammy Abraham, in the modern day terms, it could probably be a foul. It possibly is. I can't stand these sort of decisions being given, especially at these points in the game. I know there needs to be consistency, but in my opinion, goal should have stood, and it's another one to add to the list of dubious decisions for you this season, bro.
Yeah. So let's start from the end, because I just want to get this the goal out of the way, and then we'll talk about the rest of the game. But from my point of view, in that action where Tammy was called for the foul, he's got to the ball first, and in playing the ball, his foot's landed on an opposition player's foot, who's lunged for the ball. So in that respect, in my view, the benefit of the doubt must go to the player who's played the ball first, right? If the Genoa defender had lunged at the ball, knocked the ball with his foot, and then Tammy comes over that and hits the top of his foot with the bottom of his, yeah, fine, fair enough, that's a foul, right? But you can't penalise the player that's won the contest. And then when it's sped down, right, in ultra slow-mo, everything looks worse. Everything looks worse. Like, for instance, when you see a player header a ball and half the ball goes missing, right, on his head, because the air's pumped out of the ball when it strikes the head? That's exactly what it's like. Okay, so anyway, he plays that ball. Zaniolo scores. Celebration of the century, right? And then it's cool. It just goes against the spirit of the game. Like, we can't have this continuing. And you know what? Like, as much as I cry about it, and I have on this show previously, like, it just keeps happening to us every couple of weeks. Like, where does it end? Right? We've actually had to employ Calvarese, an ex-ref, right, who's now getting paid. He's on the Roma books, right, to try and be the conduit and mediate between us and the Referees Federation.
That's bizarre, man.
We're actually paying someone to do that because we just can't make sense of it, right?
So why do you think this is happening, Adam? What do you think the issue is? I mean, people say it's because of Mourinho and his history.
Look, Ant, I won't get drawn into the debate that there's his agenda against Roma. I don't agree with that. I just think that it's just been a matter of coincidence, I think. I think it's happened to us so many times, but it's been coincidental. I don't think that they're doing it on purpose or anything like that. I just think they're bad decisions. Now, compare it to Giroud Sanchez in the Milan derby. I don't think that was a foul either, right? But if you're going to pay this, you've got to pay the other one too, huh?
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, all of us throughout the whole season consistency, and it's just not happening. So I don't know. Like, I can't watch these games and be emotionally invested, right? Jumping around the lounge room at 6 a.m, right? Waking up the kids and then having to scream at the dog because I'm upset that it was called. It was the VAR decision overturned the goal. So I'm just sick of it. I'm actually sick of it. And like now I'm just going to watch the games and chill out, and whatever happens, because you can't be too emotional because you just get shit on. And I've been upset about it all week, as you can tell.
Bruv, I haven't celebrated a goal in so long. I have not actually got up and cheered with my heart and my soul for so long, because if it gets called back, I'm just going to feel like an absolute moron, man. And I can't do that. I can't go 100% in. As you said, like, I don't have kids myself, but I can just picture that scenario going down exactly in my living room the way that you said. Jumping around, acting on top of the world. I can't wait to start my Sunday, Monday, whatever day of the week it is. And it gets called back and everything just comes crumbling around. So I've had this conversation with so many people and everyone agrees. When I put them on the spot and go, all right, technology out of it, accuracy out of it. If gun to your head, you make a decision, and I'm going to ask you boys one by one, VAR, stay or go? Anthony, you first.
You make a good point then. It makes me think how I celebrate goals now, and it's exactly the same. It's taken the emotion out of me enjoying a goal, waiting another minute. I hate it. You're right. Yeah. And I don't like that about VAR. I think it's got its benefits in some aspects, but I hate the fact that referees don't make decisions now. And I think human error is part of everything you do in life, right? Whether it's sport, work, family, whatever. So there has to be an element of human error that we just have to accept. The problem in Italy is when we didn't have VAR, the referees got smashed that hard on, the Moviola. Remember that? Watching that every week, back and forth, looking at everything that the referee did. Now we've got it and we still don't like it. I would say for offside, keep it, right? Yes, because, and then you talk about those marginal offsides where it's like that. And then I think, oh, bloody hell, I hate that too, because what happened to the advantage to the attacker? But I think for clear and obvious offsides, you should have it. I'm not convinced on these fouls, like you said, and I do agree with you, Tuna, where they're minimal fouls and you slow it down and then VAR chalks it off and the whole emotion's gone out of the game. Not only us celebrating, the bloody players on the pitch, running off celebrating, then coming back and they've chalked it off, waiting. Is it a goal or not?
Mentally, it's so bad for momentum. It's so bad. As a
player, man, I can't imagine. We played a long time ago. I can't imagine even playing like that where I think, have I scored or not? I've just scored a magic goal. Now I've got to wait till they check everybody little touch. So it's a hard question for me.
You just made the point. You just said it, clear and obvious. Yeah. Right. So going back to your question, Anth, I'm a firm believer that VAR should stay. As much I've been on the receiving end this season, I think there's a place in the sport for VAR. It needs to be there for offsides. It needs to be there for fouls in the box that are not seen. Right. But Mourinho even said it's become a different sport. You can't have fouls like the one that Tammy was penalised for. That's not clear and obvious. It's not clear.
You can't take a goal. You can't take a goal away.
It was contact between two players' feet, right?
Yeah,
that's not clear and obvious. So keep it, but get rid of it for the most bullshit of fouls. We'll call them fouls because that's what they've been deemed as, right? And then just going to your last point. So Zaniolo scores, runs to the curva, right? The stadium explodes. Because after the week that he had, it had to be him. So you're taking that emotional aspect out of the game, right? Anyway, his Instagram post the day after was exactly that. Him celebrating at the quarter, and he goes, he basically said, you can cancel the goal, but you will never take this moment away from me. Do you know what I mean? That's nice. So it's just it's really frustrating. But look, aside from that, let's look at the other 89 minutes just quickly. We were really poor. I mean, really, really poor, especially in the first half. We just couldn't connect. Our lines couldn't connect. We couldn't string three passes together. Genoa, to their credit, with this new coach from Leipzig, pressed us really well, and we couldn't play out of it. And when we did, their midfield press was even better. So, look, I think they're going to be dangerous for the rest of the season, but I think they're going to be a lot better than they've shown up until this point. So anyone that plays them, beware, but because they're not going to be an easy side to get 3 points against, I can assure you of that. But look, overall, we scored the goal, so I think we deserve to win. But we're disappointing to draw in the end to Genoa at home.
Yeah, Anth, last comment on VAR, and then we're moving through to finish off with the last few fixtures.
I'll make one last comment on the VAR. And, this is what annoys me too. You listen to the governing bodies of football for the last 10 years saying we want more goals in football, we want more goals, we want to change offside, we want to do this to encourage goals. And now you've got VAR chalking off goals for the most minimal foul. So what are you trying to achieve here? Do you want more goals? The sport wants goals. People want to see goals in games, but you're chalking them off for stupid decisions. So I think that's another point. And just on Genoa, after their 6-0 drubbing, you're right, Tuna, they haven't conceded a goal with this coach. 2-0 draws, albeit, right? But from a 6-0 to 0-0-0-0, it's a massive improvement. And I agree, they'll be hard to break down. It's whether they can get the attack to fire to see if they can survive.
Yeah. Fair points all round. The best Sadismo performance of the season came this weekend where Lazio got a 3-0 win in Florence away from home, which was to be expected for more than one reason. First game for Fiorentina without Dusan Vlahovic was always going to be an upfield ask, but it was the Milinkovic-Savic and the Immobile show. Lazio, from the start of the season, we said they would literally be Mr. and Mrs. and Dr. Inconsistent. They will be for the rest of the campaign, but that was Sarri in its fullest effect against Fiorentina. And, with a couple of signings, there's no reason why the board shouldn't back him confidently to try and make top 4 next season. That should be the goal for all of these 6 or 7 or 8 Serie A sides that are looking to break through. So good win for them. Keeps a little bit of the confidence steady. Let's go. Let's do it. Big Milan derby. Congratulations not only to Anth, but to all my Milanisti friends. It's the sort of game where you're left with a massive sour taste at the end. But what I kept saying to my father, to my friends, to Anth before we started as well, really good time for both teams for that result. Milan needed that result because if they didn't get the win, you can almost start to say the confidence is shot for a Scudetto race. For Inter, this is the perfect time you need to kick up the ass to say, mate, ain't nobody lost or won a Scudetto on match day 24. Get over yourselves. Honestly, you've got 14 more games to play after this. Inter's still a team that mathematically could still drop out of the top 4. In my opinion, that's not going to happen. There's no way that's going to happen. But the Scudetto race is still very much on, and I want my guest, Anth, to have as much to say as possible, man. So over to you. Congratulations on your win. Huge one for the red and black side of Milan.
Yeah, thanks, Anth. Look, I've watched a lot of derbies in my life, and there's many games where we've deserved to win and we haven't. And you leave the derby and think, shit, we should have won that game. This time, we didn't really deserve the win, but that's the beauty of the derby. Yeah, if you close game, we played for the majority of the game, but managed to turn it around in the last 20 or so minutes and sneak a win. So that gives us massive momentum now because it was season over for us, I think, if we lost that game. And, the 70-minute mark or whatever it was then, we were done. So, look, taking 4 points from Inter this year is massive for us, right? Mm-hmm. You are the best team in the league. I've been a big supporter of Milan and, I've spoken to you guys about our chances to win it. I did feel that, when you're losing games to Spezia at home, you're not good enough to win the Scudetto, right? Regardless of what happened, you've got to beat those teams. So I still think Inter's the favourite for the Scudetto, but I think this week against Napoli, a loss there, and we're right back in it. So, and you bring Juve and even, maybe Atalanta as a smoky, but we just spoke about them. This game, so many subplots to the game, right? And that's the derby for you. You're looking at all these duels across the pitch, the supporters, the form. We spoke about the Calabria Perisic duel in the first round, and that's always a really, really good, duel on the wing and in the back position. I think Perisic wins this one. I think he ran ragged, Calabria ragged all game. So I think he won this time and got the goal, obviously. Then you got Theo versus Dumfries. I think Inzaghi tried to limit Theo's attacking threat with Dumfries there. And he was very good early. He scored the offside goal. It was causing a lot of problems for us at that back post. And I think Theo grew into the game later on. But another good duel in the derby. Magic Mike, what a signing.
He was good, man. He was so good.
He's superb. And Maldini obviously saw something in this guy, and that's why they weren't too worried about letting Donnarumma go, because they obviously knew who they had coming in. And the deflected saves that he does when the balls someone shoots, it deflects, he's going that way and he reacts. Yeah, he's got amazing reflexes.
His first save when the ball, I think it hit. Who did it hit? The deflection came through off your centre back.
Kalulu
Off Brozovic's shot.
Brozovic.
That was incredible, man. Like 90% of his momentum was going in the right hand direction.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic save, bro. So I've got to give him full credit, especially when you look at our keeper's behavior at the other end. Olivier Giroud, great striker, great hold-up play, but that finish from Giroud goes about 30 centimeters adjacent to Handanovic's right-hand side. Any younger goalkeeper or anyone with slightly better reflexes, or maybe, honestly, man, it was a game of two keepers towards the end.
Agree. And I was going to ask you about Handanovic, but you've answered the question. And even on Kalulu there, you just mentioned him. You know, he played another solid game at centre-back in a derby, a young kid. And, you know, we're many of us Milan supporters were a bit disappointed in our transfer strategy, thinking, you know, we didn't even bring in a centre-back to cover Kia and, Tomori's been injured. But then you look at Kalulu, who's played in a derby with the maturity of a young kid, to play with that maturity and composure. Maybe they see something in these plays. That's what we don't know. You know, when they're looking at these players at training, you know what? We've got Kalulu there. He can do a job. Yeah. So good on him. You know, even Kessie played as a 10. I don't think it worked. Maybe more to limit Brozovic's movement. I don't think it worked in the first half. And I think Diaz gave us a real injection when he came on. Look, for those who are bagging Tonali at the start of the year or last year, I asked them to look at him now. They need to reevaluate. He's fantastic. I think he needs to play with Benacer. I've been saying that all year. Kessie can go. But he will be our future captain if he goes this way. He's got that love for the club, the love for the badge. He's got a bit of grunt about him. I just love him. And, you know, even Giroud, like you said, you know, maybe he's finally broken that number 9 curse at Milan. But I've got a couple of questions for you, Anth. Hakan's performance this time, and did Inzaghi's subs work in your opinion?
I don't think Hakan was bad in the first half. I think everyone will agree. Had Inter maybe put another goal in the first half, we'd be looking at a completely different result in the second half. We should have buried that game when we had the chance. The second half was very, very reactive in a way. Sort of like a little bit of arrogance swept over this side, in a sense that we're 45 minutes away from deleting this side as a Scudetto rival. So let's just sit back and hope for the best. Now, the substitutions from Inzaghi, because I know that's been the biggest talking point in the Inter fan base, they were made because he was forced to make them. Ivan Perisic clutches his calf, says that it's tense. As a manager, you need to make that sub, because otherwise, what are you supposed to do? Look at your replacement, DiMarco, and go, I don't trust you for 25 minutes. I would rather have an injured 34-year-old on the pitch, or 33-year-old, however old Perisic is. That sub needs to be made. Hakan, this is where you see his slight deficiency up here, in a sense where he's already on a yellow in this game. He's still making reckless challenges. He's mouthing off to the referee. And altogether, he's 1 yellow card away from suspension as well. This is a forced substitution for Inzaghi, and I've been harping on about it for all season. We're lucky we got Hakan in to replace Eriksen, because besides Hakan, who is going to take the technical aspect of the midfield besides Brozovic? We are extremely thin in this department at the moment. You take Hakan and Brozovic out of the situation, we start a midfield of Barella, Vecino, and Vidal, and ain't nobody passing the ball through at all for us in that situation right there. So for me personally, the substitutes aren't bad in theory, but practically every single one of Inzaghi's substitutes let him down. From DiMarco's extremely poor delivery from set pieces and from good ball situations, to Alexis Sanchez very carelessly losing that ball. That's not a foul. Giroud gets to the ball first. However, if you're going to call one, you should call the next. For me personally, Anth, I reckon had you guys not been shed so hard with a bad decision against Spezia, maybe the referees and the VAR might have decided something different. But that's a whole nother problem on its own. Serie A and Italy need to move away from these emotional thresholds and these different variables in the decision-making process. This will only stop when they start to mic up the officials and they start to mic up everything that's going on as well. So other than that, I'm really glad that the boys can go away from this, reflect on it, and say, we've still got a potential 4-point lead at the top. If we win our game in hand, let's just focus for Napoli and make sure things go well there. But other than that, I don't really have anything else to say. Football games go for 90 minutes plus stoppage time, not 74 minutes. So that's pretty
Yeah,
much it.
I think you nailed it with the subs. Yeah, your subs let you down, and that's the tale of the two stories. Ours changed the game. Diaz and Junior Macias come on and really added that attacking threat in the second half. So I think that's where we won it. I'll finish on one last point, and it can't be Italy without a bit of controversy, right? There's that new video of Lautaro potentially spitting. We don't know. You can't really tell, right? If he's spitting or he's screaming at Theo. Theo runs back up. There's a bit of a scuffle. If he spat, right? One, it's not on. And two, is there a big ban coming for him? Surely, if he spat, there's something coming.
Is there any vision that's closer? I don't think there's any vision that's closer than what we've seen.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't really see if he's just screaming or spitting. Now, we've got to see what happens there because that could be big for your Scudetto too, Anth.
It could be very big, man. Like, I'm actually racing to try and get the video up right now because I saw one today of an extreme close-up of it. And I'm not just talking out of my conscious Inter bias because me personally, Lautaro has done jack all up front for the last 4 games. If we needed to suspend him, that would be fine. So just give me a second. I'm going to close this. I'm going to close this slideshow and see if I can share something else because I've actually got the slow motion video here right now. You guys let me know if you think you can see it. So here we go up on the screen. Yep. I don't see any sort of spit. And that's from the start, from when he jumps over. And I think it zooms in here. You can see the timer down at the bottom, 15 seconds. It'll zoom in. So this is him shouting. We can decide this together as a panel. You've got shouting, teeth separated.
I can't see spit coming out.
Personally, I don't see him spit because you have to see some sort of retraction from the jaw or something like that. So,
and you usually see the object coming out, and there I don't see it.
I'm really glad you brought it up, and I'm really glad we're able to share this like on camera as well. For me personally, I don't think there's a spit, but what that does signify once again is where's your head at, man? Why do you need to bite like that? You're clearly insecure with your own performances. He stunk the first derby up to the point when he scored against Napoli the week later, he had to put his hand on his chest and apologize to the curva as if to say, sorry for my horrendous performance 6 days earlier. Let's see what happens against Napoli next week, man, because you're right, Ant. If we lost Lautaro, whether he's firing or not, that's a really big dent to our Scudetto. I wanted to go over to Adam for his final comments on the derby as well, man, because we're pretty much finished up here on Football Worldwide.
Yeah, look, no, I think you guys have covered most of it. I was just going to touch on Tonali. It was good to see some leadership from him. There was a moment in the game where Dumfries went to held his hand out to pick up Theo off the ground, and Tonali got involved and pushed him aside and told him to piss off. And I'm the Milan player here. I'm the leader of this team. I'll let me pick him up, which I thought was great to see. It shows his leadership qualities. And I was just going to say on Kalulu,
yes.
I think the fact that you guys were pretty much inactive during the Mercato says to me that in Kalulu's mind, he's thinking to himself, well, they're showing great faith in me to be the centre back for the rest of the season and beyond. Let me repay that faith with some excellent performances, and that's exactly what he did in the derby. And if you can do it in the derby, there's no reason why you can't do it in any other game, right? So. I think mentally, I think it's made him stronger, and I think it's going to bode well for you guys for the rest of the season. And just on the subs, look, I thought Perisic coming off and DiMarco coming on changed the game a little bit. And on the flip side of that, Diaz coming on for Kessie also did the same for Milan. So those two combined, when you weaken Milan, when you weaken Inter, and you make Milan better, I think that's where the game changed.
Definitely.
Unfortunately, because Perisic, as he does on that left side, pushes the right back backwards, whereas DiMarco's more of a defensive player, so it allowed Calabria to step on. So, I think that's where the game was won and lost. Essentially.
Yeah, well said, man. Last game of the round, a game of our former men, Stefano Sensi, Conti, Calandrella, man, lined them all up in a row, and they absolutely smacked up Sassuolo 4-0 at the Massari. It was a really, really good game. Goals for Sensi, Caputo, Calandrella had assists and a Panenka as well, man. Antonio Calandrella, I think I've worn his number 87 Inter jersey more times this season than I did when he was an Inter player, man. It's absolutely nuts. So good on Calandrella, bro. Couldn't happen to a more deserved dude. That's pretty much all we're going to have time for today. I'm very, very grateful to the two gentlemen for giving up their time. We're all very, very busy here down under, but thank you so much, Anthony. Congrats on a good win. And I think I speak for all Inter fans when I say cross fingers, do the real Milan thing and just bomb it against Sampdoria next week, bro.
I put that in the chat. I said, watch us stuff it up against Sampdoria this week. Yeah, but what I'm loving is, thanks for having me. A great chat. I'm glad to be back. But what I'm loving is the Serie A. There's like 1 point between top four or whatever it is. Yeah. And then you're looking at the other leagues and it says 10 points, 15 points, whatever. So we're in for a ride this last, 14 rounds to go or something.
So
like
long,
that.
Man. It might as well be a whole other season,
It's going to be fantastic. So look forward to getting back on and seeing Inter bomb it.
Oh, man, anything can happen, bro. Anyone can bomb it from here. Adam, all the best to you. Thanks for coming on again. I'm sure we'll see you soon, whether it's on either platform. Who knows? We might even connect on Inter Worldwide again after the Coppa Italia game, which is tomorrow morning, bro. It's in 13 hours.
It's tomorrow morning. Hopefully by this time tomorrow, I'm giving you a lot of shit. But look, as I always say about Roma, when they play the top team, just hopeful. I'm hopeful.
I said to a mate today, I'd almost take a loss in 90 minutes if it meant not going 120, bro. Honestly, at this point in time, going to Napoli, I can't think of anything worse than 2 hours of football on the pitch for these boys. You know, we got bloody Liverpool coming up after Napoli, man. It's going to be a train ride and a half.
Just let go of the Coppa Italia. Don't worry about it. Let us through, man. You need something. You need something to latch onto.
That's it, man. 100%. Thank you to Ant. Thank you to Adam from all of us here at Football Worldwide. We will see you extremely soon. Like and subscribe to the channel and let us know if you want to get involved. Ciao, ragazzi.